Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I'm going to cover a number of topics and kind of let you know about a number of things that have been going on here. I'm just leaving J Center Mall. Several of you are familiar with that in Mandaue City, Cebu. It's where the main immigration office is here in Cebu, the Philippines. And I was there to meet an expat friend that I've known for several years actually, and messages are translated through his part from my partner to his partner to him, and I found out later that he was in the process of moving to a new place. I found out long after I left. The waitress there told me that he was going to be moving that day, so after having breakfast, lunch, I decided that he probably wasn't going to show up, and anyway, I decided to take a walk from there. Anyway, I'm going to cover a number of topics, some things going on, and there's a lot of talk about things going on, but at the same time, not a lot of concrete information out there about a number of different topics. But anyway, I'm going to cover and let you know some of the things that have been going on here. I'm walking from here towards Park Mall is where I'm going, and not necessarily in these kids coming over trying to sell me some towels and 100 pesos, $2 for 3 towels, and you'll see kids selling those a lot. Not sure the logistics, where they get them, how much they get out of that deal, but it's good to see them out actually earning a living, earning some money, trying to earn some money rather than just begging for money. Traffic is quite light compared to what it would normally be back before this medical crisis situation that we're presently in. Very light traffic on this main street here. And this is actually getting closer. Tall buildings way down there in the distance. That's Mandaue Bay. Those kids, everybody can see the camera. It seems that Filipinos can spot a foreigner a mile away, two kilometers away. And especially if you have a camera, they do like getting, many do, not all, like to have their picture taken, video taken, whatever. Anyway, always an interesting experience. Couple of interesting things have happened. Not only here in the Philippines, around the world, you know, these lockdowns and the different rules and restrictions. You know, different airlines have different restrictions and requirements. Different regions do, different states, different countries. But here in the Philippines, even every LGU, local government unit, every little village within a city or province, and not only that, but even the condominiums. I went to see a few weeks ago, over a month ago, went to see a friend, me and my partner, and went in and we were told, well, where's your health certificate? You need a barangay, a village health certificate, even to be allowed to visit anybody in the building. And after quite a bit of discussion, we were allowed to visit our friend. And then he had invited another friend over as well. And they said, oh, no, only 2 people are allowed. You can only have 2 people at a time. After long discussion, they were allowed to enter as well, I guess. Anyway, you just don't know what the restrictions are. I understand that. I know I've stayed in 5 different condominiums rented here in Cebu City area in the last 5 years, and some are much stricter than others, and some will require an ID from anybody coming in, a sign in, an ID, and they'll even keep that ID until that person leaves. Others are, they want you to sign in, they want to make sure that you know the person. Is that a friend, a relative? They kind of keep tabs on that because pretty much every hotel and condominium resort has at least one security agent or more on site any given time. Lots of motorbikes for sale. I think there's been a lot of repossessions during the present medical crisis, the last year of lockdown here in the Philippines and around the world. On another topic, as many of you know, and there's a lot of talk about a vaccine passport, some sort of thing to qualify you to travel different parts of the different countries, different worlds, different organizations talking about that. And we'll see where that goes. There are a number of vaccines that they're rolling out slower than what was anticipated. So it seems that they're really looking at towards the middle of this year or later before much travel is going to be allowed almost anywhere. Um, my prediction forecast is that over time, the next 6 months to a year, you're going to find some of these vaccines are working better than others. You're going to have issues with some of them. I think Norway had several older people die after being vaccinated. Same people that were dying from the virus, but apparently perhaps the vaccine sped that process up. Nobody really knows right now, it seems. But you will have some vaccines that are going to have more side effects, uncommon, unwelcome side effects than others. So you may get a vaccine of one brand, and then 6 months, a year later, you may find out, well, that no longer qualifies for this travel passport. So you're going to have to get a different vaccine. Because we're finding that it's not as good as we thought here. Trying to beat the light. I'm going to get out into that middle section anyway before that light. One of the few lights in the city. A lot of these busy intersections don't have lights. People just work through it. They give way and don't see many accidents, which is really surprising. As of right now, middle of January 2021, I have not heard any hints about when they might start opening up tourist visas here in the Philippines. I think it would be a good idea for them, like Thailand has done a little bit of that. They're bouncing back and forth as well, locking down, not allowing travel in certain parts of the country because there are more cases in one part of the country than others, different provinces. But they have gotten a little more creative by bringing forward, designing new types of visas in order to allow a few people to come in, although they're still tying it to that 14-day quarantine, even if you have a negative test. Therefore, very few people are taking them up on that, and I think that's the same case here in the Philippines. They are allowing some travels. Some resort areas have opened up. Some areas opened up and then closed back down, closed the borders again from what I've read. As long as they have so many restrictions and requirements, the tests, they're just not going to get very many people going out. Good afternoon. Officer there, and I always carry a quarantine pass that I get from the security of our condo building, and they are a bit rare. Originally we had one for each day that about 50 different people had to share. Of course, the people working had a work pass. They didn't need that pass. Anyway, people cooking up here. One of those meat on the sticks. I think they're 10 or 15 pesos, I think. But anyway, carry that and with me, and you're generally limited how long you can use it because there are other people wanting the pass as well. I think we have, originally it was one pass per day. One pass for the odd days, one pass for the even days, and I think we've got 3 for each day at the present time. Um, Still is there are times when you're limited. Other people are waiting for the pass, or there might not be one available, so it creates an issue. If you have an appointment, if you have a time set up where you need it, and then it's not available, of course, that creates a major problem. There are many strains around the world of the virus that they talk about. Hundreds or possibly even thousands of different strains. That's what viruses do. They mutate. And presently there's a lot of things in the news. Many of you know about this new, apparently, it's easier to spread virus, and people are locking down countries and states again over that. So we'll see what happens. There's my partner was in a grocery store just a few hours ago, and she said, "Looks like people are stocking up," and she was wondering if people were panic buying again. That maybe there's some fear that I haven't seen it in the news. People have said at the present time our hospitals and COVID centers are well equipped and at very low occupancy rates. So they haven't talked about that as far as I know, but there may be some chatter on the social medias and stuff, and people are starting to gear up just in case, probably. Not a bad idea to be stocked up a bit during most circumstances. Back in the U.S., part of the world where I grew up is now having a snow blizzard in the wintertime. So people could be, power could be out. You could, perhaps for a few days, you can't get into town. Those sorts of things. So it's a good idea to have some items in stock. Under the present circumstances, I know the supply chains can be disrupted by the various countries locking down, making it difficult for goods to move around the world. If you have lots of money, you might want to buy up some of this surplus. I know a guy here in the Philippines. He has bought in containers, a number of containers full of beer, I believe, from around the world. Had it shipped in here, and then he had to lease warehouse space to put all that stuff, because there are breweries and bars all over the world, as most of you know, are shut down. So where are they going to sell their alcohol? So you can buy certain goods these days for pennies on the dollar, basically. So if you've got money and can pay for the freight and the warehousing of a product, you might be in a good position to make some money down the road as things open up and the demand rises. I would be interested in hearing in the comments what's happening in your part of the world. I do watch international news from a number of different sources, so I'm kind of aware of what's going on around the world, various states in the USA, provinces here, and I hate to report too much about what's going on here because it can change in the next day or two. It can change. I put out something, this is going to happen. It's happened a number of times. I've done that, and a day or two later, the situation has changed already. So I hate to put out too much information until it's really more solid type news. Anyway, thanks for coming along, and don't completely get discouraged under the present circumstances. It's gonna take a little bit longer, obviously. Philippines is still a great place to visit and stay. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.